Uh-oh, there she goes. Over everything. Home run for Killebrew.
A curveball swung on as a high fly ball hit into deep left field. It's back deep. It's going. Number 500 for Harmon Killebrew.
Harmon Killebrew was the best home run hitter I ever saw.
Harmon could hit some of the longest home runs and some of the highest home runs.
What he did on the baseball field was so dominant and so amazing.
Typical killer home run was 500 feet. It was 500 feet in the air.
He hit 47, 48, 49 home run every year.
Harmon was a leader in our ball club. If we were down and we needed a big blast, we knew Harmon was going to come through.
When I first signed with the old Washington Senators, they thought maybe I could play second base, so my first games in the major leagues were actually at second. And then in 1959, I opened the season at third base. So I was off and running playing third. For a while, I was kind of bouncing back between first and third. So going into the Hall of Fame as a first baseman, I never even dreamed that would happen.
Harmon Killebrew, born and raised in Idaho, buried in Idaho, in love with Idaho for his entire life, representing Idaho in one of the most classiest ways you could possibly find. That's just the beginning, and he doesn't even include what he accomplished on the baseball field.
His nickname was Killer. And I think that is as far from the truth about his personality.
What I admire, what I like about Killer, I think is what everybody else admires about him. Is that he's genuinely a nice guy.
I saw Harmon go out of his way to talk to people, to kids, to elderly, to fans, and he was just incredible. He was so nice and he was so gracious with his time. And he's honestly one of my favorite people I ever met in my life.
He just felt like there was such more important things than just baseball, and helping each other was top on his list. He was a very compassionate person and loved to help people.
The most important reason that we're here on earth is to love and help one another.
He wanted every moment to count. He felt like we should use our time wisely. He always did. He cared about people more than fame. And I think that's what made him so lovable.
His legacy lives on, not because he hit 573 homers, because they're making advances on leukemia every year.
The state of Idaho will forever be linked together with this legendary behemoth of a man by the name of Harmon Killebrew.
Harmon Killebrew got his first baseball glove when he was 8 years old in Payette, Idaho. He played knothole baseball. He played American Legion baseball. He played high school baseball. He played summer baseball. And by the time he was 17, he was playing Major League Baseball. Are you kidding me? And that's just where that story begins.
Harmon was this baseball phenom out of Payette High School that just tore up every single pitcher he ever faced. And he was one of those kids that could do it all.
When Hall of Famer George Brett was asked about Harmon Killebrew, he said something remarkable. He was just a fierce competitor and a perfect gentleman at the same time. You don't see that a lot. How could a man nicknamed Killer be remembered as baseball's kindest soul? This is the story of 573 home runs, the first man to shatter Tiger Stadium's roof, and a legendary 520-foot blast that still has a monument today. But the real story isn't about power. Through the words of opponents, teammates, and the next generation, discover why Reggie Jackson called him one of the greatest of all time. In 1959, Baltimore Orioles manager Paul Richards watched the 23-year-old Killebrew crush 42 home runs and made a statement that would echo through baseball history. Killebrew can knock the ball out of any park, including Yellowstone. Think about that. Yellowstone National Park spans over 2 million acres. Richards was saying not even nature itself could contain this man's power. Twins owner Calvin Griffith saw it differently. He described Killebrew's home runs as unlike anything else. He hit home runs like few people can in the category of height and distance. Harmon did not hit many line drive home runs. He would hit the ball so blooming high in the sky, they were like a rocket ship going up in the air. These were not ordinary home runs. They were launches into orbit. The numbers back it up. During the 1960s, Killebrew hit 393 home runs, more than Hank Aaron's 375, more than Willie Mays' 350. He achieved 8 seasons with over 40 home runs. And this happened during the pitcher-dominated era, when mounds were higher, strike zones were larger, and ballparks were massive. But raw power only tells half the story. Mickey Lolich, the pitcher who faced Killebrew more than anyone else, had something very different to say. Mickey Lolich faced Harmon Killebrew 114 times, more than any other pitcher in baseball history. Years later, Lolich made a stunning confession. "I had pretty good success against the big home run hitters in the American League, when you talk about Yastrzemski, Reggie Jackson, and Frank Howard, until you get to Harmon Killebrew. Killebrew hit his share of long home runs off me with that short swing of his. That short swing became legendary. Teammate Bert Blyleven explained it perfectly. He was 5'11", but burly-chested, just naturally strong. He had that short, compact swing, and when he hit the ball, it just jumped off the bat." At 215 pounds, Killebrew was smaller than modern power hitters, yet generated incredible force through pure natural strength. Teams responded with desperate measures. They deployed extreme defensive shifts, moving the second baseman to the shortstop side, shifting the shortstop into the hole, and forcing the third baseman to hug the foul line. They built an infield wall against him. It did not work. But here is where the story takes an unexpected turn. The man who terrified pitchers had a completely different reputation off the field. Umpire Ron Luciano wrote something remarkable in his book, The Umpire Strikes Back. He said Killebrew was one of the most feared sluggers in baseball history, but he was also one of the nicest people ever to play the game. Then Luciano shared a detail that seems almost impossible. "I would call a tough strike on him and he would turn around and say approvingly, 'Good call.' And he was the same way in the field. And he never did this to get help on close plays, as some players do. The man hit 573 Major League home runs, and no umpire ever swung a bat for him. Here's the stat that proves it. 2,435 games played, 0 ejections, not one. This happened in an era when fights and brushback pitches were common. Killebrew himself acknowledged it. "When I played, getting knocked down was an accepted part of the game." When asked about his hobbies, Killebrew gave perhaps the most unexpected answer in sports history. "Just washing the dishes, I guess." The man who launched 520-foot home runs found joy in washing dishes. This was not a public relations move. This was genuine humility. Teammate Frank Quilici explained it best. He did not hate the men. He just hated getting beat by them. But the true test of character is what others learned from him. Hall of Famer Rod Carew spoke about his teammate with deep emotion. "Harmon Killebrew was a gem. I can never thank him enough for all I learned from him. He was a consummate professional who treated everyone from the brashest of rookies to the groundskeepers to the ushers in the stadium with the utmost of respect." Then Carew said something that reveals the true measure of Killebrew's impact. "I would not be the person I am today if it were not for Harmon Killebrew." Joe Mauer was just 18 years old when he joined the Twins. Years later, he said, "When I learned the news about Harmon today, I felt like I lost a family member. He has treated me like one of his own. He first welcomed me into the Twins family as an 18-year-old kid and has continued to influence my life in many ways." Jack Morris experienced something even more profound. As a child, Morris idolized Killebrew the player, but as an adult, he discovered something greater. As a young kid who just looked up to a guy, but as a grown man, I look back at him now as the guy who tried to show me that you do not have to be angry. You do not have to be mad. You can love and share love. Paul Molitor added, "Harmon was the guy I pretended to be in the backyard. Not many people get the chance to be friends with their boyhood hero, I could not have picked a better man. But legendary status requires legendary moments. June 3rd, 1967, Metropolitan Stadium. Killebrew stepped to the plate against the California Angels and did something that still seems impossible. He hit a home run estimated at 520 feet. The ball crashed into the 6th row of the second deck, hitting with such force that it shattered 2 seats. George Kite, the chief usher, was not even watching the plate, but he knew instantly. The crack of the bat said it all, he recalled. The steel and concrete of the old stadium amplified every contact. The next day, something even more remarkable happened. As the public address announcer was telling the crowd about the 520-foot blast, Killebrew stepped into the box. Before the announcer finished his last word, Killebrew launched another one, 434 feet into the second deck facade. Same stance, same swing, same bat. Today, a red seat mounted at the Mall of America marks exactly where that 520-foot home run landed. Target Field has a bronze glove 520 feet from home plate in tribute. On August 3, 1962, Killebrew became the first player in history to hit a baseball over the left field roof at Tiger Stadium. Only 4 men would ever accomplish this feat in the entire history of that legendary ballpark. In 1971, Killebrew got stuck at 498 home runs. The Twins printed 10,000 commemorative mugs for his 500th, expecting it any day. Weeks passed. The pressure mounted. Everyone started asking about it and talking about it, Killebrew said. He finally broke through at the All-Star game, becoming the 10th member of the 500 Home Run Club. These achievements confirmed his legendary status, but Reggie Jackson's assessment went even further. In 1969, during Killebrew's MVP season, when he hit 49 home runs and drove in 140, Reggie Jackson made a statement that shook baseball. If Harmon Killebrew is not the league's best player, I have never seen one. He is one of the greatest of all time. This came from Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, one of the most confident players ever to step on a diamond. When Jackson said this about someone else, it meant everything. The dominance was undeniable. Killebrew led the American League in home runs 6 times. He led in runs batted in 3 times. He led in walks 4 times, because pitchers feared him so much, they would rather put him on base than let him swing. 13 All-Star selections proved his consistency. Yet his batting average was just 256, the lowest for any non-pitcher in the Hall of Fame. But he posted a 509 slugging percentage and a 376 on-base percentage. He proved you do not need a 300 average to dominate baseball. Power combined with discipline creates impact. Commissioner Bud Selig captured both sides. Harmon was as tough and feared a competitor on the field as the game has ever seen, while off the field, he touched everyone he encountered with his sensitive and humble nature. He led his life with modesty and dignity. George Brett's words from the opening echo back. He was just a fierce competitor and a perfect gentleman at the same time. You do not see the two of them together very much. Perhaps the greatest testimony comes from an unexpected source. Michael Kadire was 32 years old and had never seen Killebrew play. Yet he understood something profound. The majority of people now never did get to see him as a baseball player, but the reason he has made such an impact on the world is because of who he was outside of baseball. The 30-plus years after he retired. He continued to be an ambassador, not just of baseball, but of life in general. In 1977, Killebrew established the Danny Thompson Memorial Golf Tournament, honoring a teammate who died of leukemia at age 29. Over the decades, it raised over $8.6 million. He continued this work until his own death in 2011. We started with a paradox. How could someone called Killer be remembered as the kindest man in baseball? Now we understand there was no paradox. These were two sides of the same greatness. You can dominate your field and uplift others. You can be fierce and kind. You can win and stay humble. Yes, 573 home runs will be remembered, but Rod Carew's transformation, Joe Mauer feeling like family, and Jack Morris learning to love instead of being angry, these are the real monuments. Jack Morris said it perfectly. You do not have to be angry. You do not have to be mad. You can love and share love. Killebrew proved the greatest strength is not in muscles, but in character. If this story moved you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling us who inspired you to be better. Who was your Harmon Killebrew? Check out our playlist on MLB Legends for more stories about players who changed the game, not just through talent, but through who they were. Subscribe so you never miss these stories, because baseball is more than statistics. It is about the people who show us how to live.